girls' business today. I'm Meg Morning, so I want to talk about some of the rights we've been denied, the leadership roles we've been denied, and I have one person that is going to be doing justice to that with me in the studio. I have Lois Amele, a gender-based advocate. Happy Girls Child Day.
Yes, I'm a girl child. You are repping us because you are wearing pink this morning. I forgot
course.
to wear my own pink.
Thanks for joining us on the show
Thank you
this
so
morning.
much.
I want us to really look at the life of the girl child.
Yeah.
The theme is just apt. Leadership, right. The right of the girl child.
Yeah, it's invest in the rights
of the girl child.
Of the girls, and then our leadership, our well-being. Yeah.
Now, let me ask you, have we been investing rightly on the girl child in Nigeria?
I think the reason of this team is because a lot of times when they bring up some of these things, there was a time we had digital generation, our generation, and that was because 1 in 10 girls, were not even using technology at all. So I think whenever they bring up these things, it's because it's actually a challenge in our country, not even our country, the world at large, because sometimes it's the UNICEF, UN that brings up this thing. So it's something that we really need to look into, investing into the girls' rights, because we see that a lot of girls' rights are not fully, how do I say this, are not fully protected, are not fully promoted. When it comes to maybe health, when it comes to education, which is one of the most important things that you can actually give to a child. You can inherit something and give to a child, but then education is something that she can go along with. So education is something that, we really need to look into in Nigeria.
I'm glad you said that so many girls are not exposed to the digital technology. But my question is that, will you just be exposed to digital technology without being in school first?
That's exactly what we're saying. There was a time there was our generation, and that was because it was a digital issue that we had at that time. Okay. Now we're looking into investing into the girls' rights, and looking into investing into girls' rights, it brings us to education. Okay. Because we can see that if let's just even go back to persons with disability, let's look at children with disability, girls with disability. We can see that only 1% of them, over 100, are in schools. So you can see that is a major issue for us. So it's something that we
and if you look at it, in most states in Nigeria, state governors still are lacking behind in the area of education, especially on the girl child in Nigeria. What could be responsible for that?
Education. I really don't know why. I don't know what their intention is, but I would say that education, like what they used to say in our days, they'll say educate a girl child, you educate a community. But if you educate a boy child, then you educate just one person. I'm sorry to say, but it's actually true. So it's something that the government really needs to look into, because even if you go to some of the government schools that we have nowadays, no, you go to some places, you feel very sad. I went to one of the government schools and the roof was out. I saw some of the students taking their seats to school, and it's a really serious thing that we really need to look into, because if the environment is not conducive, then there's no learning. So I feel like we really need to invest into education. We need to invest into education. We need to really work on it, and not just education. We need to get qualified teachers as well that can also teach the students and make them understand that, okay, this is what it is, and your future is very important, and education leads to the future. So yeah.
Okay, if we are going to start tackling the issues, where do we start from? Where is the problem really from? Is it the parent? Is it our government? Where do we start solving the problem from?
I feel like there are different ways to solve this problem.
Okay.
I think
I'm an advocate. So where do you think we should start from?
I think everybody has their responsibility. Okay. And I feel that a lot of people are not really working on their responsibility. That is the reason why we're still where we are. Okay. I don't think it's the responsibility just on the government, because a lot of people will say the government this, the government that, but the responsibility is not just on the government. The responsibility is to everybody. As an individual, you're doing media. Now, that is what you're doing to help out the girl child. What are you doing? You're selling at the road, parent, you're a teacher. You know, I'm an advocate. So it's all our responsibility. Nowadays, it's like they just left it for the NGO people and NAPTIP, you know, and maybe women affairs. You know, they'll just say, oh, it's their responsibility, let them handle. But you see something, you cannot say something. That is your responsibility, and that's so if you see something, you say something, you do something about it. So it's individual responsibility, and that starts from the home, starts from the family, starts from you. You know, before, in those days, it's the community people that actually raise children. But nowadays, if you even question a child, they say, no, don't talk to me, you're not my mom, you're not my dad. And that's a problem. And I think it comes from our mindset. So I think we really need to start looking into it. You see a girl on the road, something is wrong with her, you say, no, it's not my problem, I don't need to go close to her. That means you're not an active bystander, and that's a problem. So if there's something going on, you really need to look into it and ask, oh, what's going on? Are you okay? Just, are you okay? Is something that you, because a lot of sexual and gender-based issues are out nowadays, and we really need to look into it. We have harmful traditional practices, breast ironing, female genital mutilation, child bride, child betrothed. You know, we have all of those things. That is still a major issue for the girl child. But then now we have other sexual and gender-based issues. We have rape, we have, you know, a whole lot of them. Physical abuse, domestic abuse, neglect. So it's an issue.
So now we want to deal with the street hawking.
Yeah.
You see girl child hawking, instead of being in school, she's hawking on the street. Early marriage in the north. How do we begin to deal with it? Now it's not a parent or a government responsibility. You said it's everybody's responsibility.
It's our responsibility.
Where do we start from?
I used to always say this, and I will still say it. I will say that the judicial system really needs to help us. If there's one person that perpetrates something.
We have the orientation agency. What is their role in this?
For the orientation agency, I don't really know their role and responsibility, because I know those around us. I know the NAPTIP, which they are really doing a lot of work. I know the human rights agencies. I know media houses that are doing some of these things now.
A lot.
I know.
Like we're doing now.
Like we're doing now. My agency, Good Side Philippine Missionaries, are also doing theirs as well. So it's because I heard the Almajiri children now, they are now allowed to go to school. They are now doing some arrangements for them and all of that. And you asked about street children.
Yes.
So I would say it's important that we really need to work on that as well, because those children are children. And if children are not educated, you know, some people will say education is scam and all of that. At the end of the day, they'll say they don't go to school and they begin to do other things. But I feel like if they go to school, they can apply school knowledge with their handcraft knowledge, and then they can do a lot more. But then the street children, we really need to look into that as a country. For the street children, we really need to look into that. We need to get those children off the streets, because they are the ones that end up becoming out. They are the ones that end up going into some of the spiritual, all of those issues, and the internet fraud. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say, the internet fraud and all of that. So we really, really need to look into street children, especially the girls that are on streets. And I feel like it's not just us. Looking into the last time I was talking about house help, child labor, you know, all of those things is a serious issue. I met a girl on the streets, and she was hawking banana, and it was someone that reported the case to me. It was a pharmacist. I took someone to get drugs from the pharmacy, and the pharmacy was trying to tell me that, oh, you are into advocacy. I said, yes. He said, there's a girl on the street. I said, okay, what's wrong with her? He said, this girl used to be outside till 10 a.m. I said, why? He said, if she doesn't finish selling that banana, they would not allow her to come back to the house. And
she can be exposed to other things because she wants to sell the banana.
Jack.
Yes.
Jack. Okay, for
they can take advantage of her because she wants to collect the money and take home, so she will now submit herself to be used.
Exactly. As an adult, we're even afraid to stay outside at night. Talk more of a little girl. So the man said he had to buy all her banana the other day.
For her to go
just
home.
For her to go
but
home.
That is not enough. Is it just buying the banana or getting the person that is exposing her to such danger?
Exactly, and trimming all
yes. I think there is need for such things to be done so that we can now eradicate that aspect. Now let's look at the poor maternal care in the life of a girl child. What could be responsible for that? Because we discovered that a lot of girls are going through a lot. Where do we start dealing with that? Our government seems to be doing little in that area. What do you think we can do to ameliorate this problem? I think
we should all advocate. I saw something, that's what made me say so. I saw something on Instagram the other day. It was mortality rate and all of that. Once you are pregnant, you're with death, it's just going to die.
Yes.
All of that because of the maternal mortality rate, and it's a serious issue. And I feel like we should all come together to advocate to end, maternal mortality, rate. This is cause this particular thing has root causes. There are a lot of root causes. Sometimes it can be due to health issues. Sometimes it can be due to a lot of things. It can be due to bad structural facilities in the hospital. It can be due to female genital mutilation, because there are a lot of root causes. So I feel like it's important that we all begin to advocate, we all begin to talk in our little spaces, using our media, our social media. It's not about just dancing around TikTok and all of that, but then using your TikTok, using whatever you have, as a form of passing information, a form of spreading out information to talk to people and to make them understand things that should stop, especially this female genital mutilation. Is really an issue in Nigeria. I read something somewhere, and it was talking about the fact that Nigeria is the third highest case of female genital mutilation. We know that over 200 million women in over 29 countries are, are living with the consequences of female genital mutilation, and 10% of that 200 million, which is 20, are living with the consequences of female genital mutilation in Nigeria. So it's actually a big issue. When I talk about it, people are like, is it still something that we should talk about? But
yes, we need to talk about it.
Yes, it's a harmful traditional practice that has been going on and on and on. I think it's because of the traditional backing, religious backing. There are a lot of reasons
You see, in a case where tradition is involved, how do we handle it? Because you are talking about that. I know of a practice in the north where if a girl boobs is growing, they will say she's too young to start growing big. So there's the practice
of breast ironing.
Yes, they iron it.
It's in Abuja here.
So how do we begin to discourage? Now, looking at tradition, we have to be careful with the tradition. So how do we begin to talk to people?
Okay. I was advocating somewhere and somebody said, "Oh, you have not been caught." And I said, "No, I've not been caught." And the person said, "Why? That means your parents are not learned. They don't know the cultures and tradition of this place." And I was just looking at her and I was laughing. And she was like, "Why are you laughing?" And then explaining these things to her. That was when she now said, "Oh, so that was the reason why I had all of these miscarriages. That was the reason why, I don't have sexual urges. That's the reason why." I was not like, yes, I started explaining to her gradually, and that was when she knew. So I feel like it's not just talking about these things in city centers. It's about going to the grassroots as well. Going to religious leaders, going to traditional leaders, and also talking to them about these things. I've been to different communities. I've been to Buhari. I've been to almost 3 communities in Buhari.
What was the response?
The response, some people in that area, didn't know about it. Why some people knew about it.
Some people are ignorant of it.
Yeah, so they didn't know about the effects and some of the things that goes on. But then some people knew about it, but they just kept it silent because they know about
the implication, yes, they know about the danger of saying it or speaking out.
Exactly. So that's the reason why they actually kept quiet. But for some communities, they know that this is what is going on, and they now say, "Oh yes, we know about this particular thing," and all of that. So one thing was that I made a book. It's titled Tolani Nirara. So I give out books in that community
for people to read.
People to get educated, about what that particular thing was. And I didn't just stop there. I've gone to schools. I've gone to school for the deaf. I've gone to school for the blind, and I've also given out for school for the blind. I changed my book into Braille, for inclusion.
And I feel sometimes we only pass all this message to the students in school. There's a forum where parents come together in schools.
Yes, I did.
Don't you think that this is an avenue for PTA. This message? Yes.
It's very important. Very, very, very important.
To be educated.
In fact, that day was a very tight day for me. I had so many activities, but they were like, it's their that, and I said, okay, it was PTA.
Let's just give me just 10 minutes to pass this message across.
And that was what I did. In fact, I had to go to UBEB. UBEB gave me permission before I went to the school. I
was even coming to that because I want to ask, what is the Ministry of Education doing to ensure that message is being passed across schools?
Oh yes, when I went to UBEB, they were very welcoming. When I went to UBEB, they were very welcoming. In fact, they asked me, they gave me a letter, gave me permission that I should actually go to the school, distribute my books, and also talk to the parents and teachers at the school. So it was a very nice, time. In fact, ITV was there.
Okay.
ITV was there.
We are always everywhere.
Yes. ITV was there that day, and I think it was in one of in your news.
Yes.
During. So
yeah, when it comes to the issue of mother, girl, child, and human rights, we don't joke with it in our station.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yes.
In fact, that already, because most times when I invite you, you're always there.
Yes.
So I like that about it.
Thank you for that compliment.
Yeah, okay.
Moving on. Now, where do we, like I said, I keep on emphasizing on where do we start from?
Yeah.
Going by the theme this year. This year we need to start from somewhere. This is October. Another October we are celebrating again.
Yeah.
So what are we now going to inculcate on the girl child? They know their right. They need to know their right.
Yeah.
How do we start making them to understand that this is your right and you must go for your right?
So I feel like some people don't even know their rights.
Right.
That's what I start from. I feel like it starts from we educating the girls that this is your right.
That is what I'm talking about.
Okay, so it starts from you educating the girl that this is your right, and it starts from making programs around schools, making school clubs in schools, so that you can help them understand that, oh, this is my right, this is what I'm supposed to do, and that and that and that. But then our team doesn't just talk about right this year, it talks about leadership. And I would say that it's important that we involve the girls into politics, we involve girls into, when you go to schools, you hear things like,
is it involving them or educating them?
I think it has to do with involving them, making a slot for them, that okay, 50% should be a girl, 50% should be a boy. Now let's look at it. When you were in secondary school, were you ever a class prefect or you were an assistant class prefect? Because it's always the fact that the boys are the class prefect, the girls are the assistant class prefect. So it starts from the school. It starts from even the home. When the parents are using derogatory statements on the girls.
Don't you know he's your brother? Don't you know he's a boy?
Exactly.
He's
Let him
not
go to school
supposed to
first, then you stay at home.
Exactly.
Preferential treatment and all of that is a very big issue, so it starts from it also starts from the home, then it moves to school, because we all have that cultural mentality that is relegated behind at home. It now makes them give derogatory statements, give statements like, you are not enough for this, you are not supposed to do this, and do girls do this? And okay, now let's look into women in politics. See that if this year he was very poor looking, and I feel like it looks like a competition between a man and a woman. So we don't like using what a man can do, a woman can do better. So but a woman can equally, yes, we say what a man can do, a woman can also do. So it's important we meet each other, Yes. And you said something in the church. People now go to the book of Acts and they were like, oh, Paul said women should not talk in the church, women cannot be there. You go to some and you see that, oh, the women that are ministers cannot sit up, they sit down. When it's time for them to meet, they come up to minister. This is a very
worship center. Exactly. They demarcate it, cannot go in, they outside.
Apart from that, there are still churches where on their menstrual period they don't go into the church.
Yes,
I've heard this over again, and that is exclusion. You're not in there. Okay, how do they now worship that day? So is it a crime to be a woman? Is it a crime to be a very big issue? Like, we need to look into that. It's happening in our churches, it's happening in our environment, everywhere. To look into the fact that we the woman and say, oh, she cannot do this, she cannot. It's a big problem for me. We should start from the fact that they are girls. So let's start educating our girls from now. As a mother, as a father, pump confidence into your girl. Make her understand that she can do this. She can be a politician. She can be whatever she wants to be. Because, for some people, they'll say, oh, you cannot be what is it? You cannot be a lawyer. You cannot be a doctor. You cannot be, there are some parts that are relegated to just men. The other day I was hearing something that in a church, in technical unit, it's just one woman that is in technical unit, and that's a big problem for me. And also be
when we have so many women, and
also
we have so many.
We can also do a lot of things. So it's the fact I just want women, our women, to understand that they can start pumping confidence into their children. I was at neighborhood park the other day, sensitizing men about allowing their wife and their children to go into politics and all of that. And some men, one of the men there, was saying that if I allow my wife, who will now take care of the children? Who will now? That is a mentality. That is a problem. I was very sad when I heard that.
And that is bringing me to the next question.
Yeah.
We just talked about leadership. Now we are talking about rights. Now, in as much as we are trying to make girls understand it, there is need for make the parent understand that they allow the girl to know her right or to understand her right. If you hear us and the girls that are growing up now, those days when our parents are talking, you dare not. Whatever they tell you, even though you have something in mind to do or to contribute, you are not allowed to say it. And I see some parents still working in that part. Who asked you to do that? Why did you say that? Meanwhile, this is her right. She's trying to tell you that I know my right. How do we now handle the issue of parents and the girl child in the house? We now balance it. There should be balancing.
Yeah. And I feel like it comes from a sort of mentality. In Yoruba, if a man, that's the way they say if somebody is talking to a man, if somebody is talking to you, you bow down your
yes.
You don't the talk. And that has been a problem for some of the men. Even now, they don't look into people's eyes to talk. And it's not good. It just shows that you have inferiority complex. That's what it shows.
Yes.
So it's we begin to talk. We begin to educate. Even the parents educate themselves. They want a global place where yes. everybody needs information and gets educated.
All right.
Yeah.
It's been a full time with you. We can continue on and on because we have a lot to talk about the girl. But we'll continue after the program because it's our day. It's the girl child day. So some of the things that we didn't get, we are going to get it. It's our right. We are going to fight for our right. After this celebration continue. I think we've been talking with Lois Amele, a gender-based advocate. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.